Mr.
Bond.
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 Bond. James Bond.
Oh, it still makes me smile. Hello, welcome, Do Svidania. We are here for another Bondcast, and this time we're doing our second movie review. Way! So I am here, and I'm here with Mike.
Hi guys, nice to see you, Chris. Nice to see you all. Welcome back to another epic review. That's what we're going to put it down as.
I can't wait.
If you missed the editing trickery as we started, then and you saw the titles over the titles, you'll know what you're here for. But if you don't,
you will. You're here for an amateur production. That is what you're here for. We fired our back guy, the guy at the back doing the computer work. He's gone.
I know. I mean, Dominic, go away, whoever you are. It's not cool. You know?
So
no, we are here for that.
We are. We're here for a From Russia with Love review. We did our Dr. No review last month, and we are sort of working through our 25 Bond films. We're here with number 2, and I'm excited to talk about it. However, we do have a little bit of Bond news to go over first. Is that right, Mike?
We have only a smidgen because, to be honest with you, I feel like the exhaustion, recently with all the Bond news has been the most epic it's ever been. With Amazon takeovers and change of directors and all that sort of stuff. But there has been a little bit of change. And Chris, I'm going to use music that will not get us copyrighted. So,
I mean, I doubt that. For everyone at home, we feel like we've been copyrighted in every single episode. So we're trying desperately to toe the line in this one.
We are. We're playing with the boundaries of that conduct right now.
So.
But only a little bit of Bond news. First of all, I just want to sort of jump on the back. We've been speaking about Pierce Brosnan's potential return in whatever way. Yes. Whether it's false or true, we don't really know. But Mr. Brosnan has basically just said openly in a nice interview on Jonathan Ross the other night.
Yes,
that basically you will know where I am, and I'm open to offers. So he's either very passionate or he wants some money.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that it's one of those things where you don't burn your bridges and you don't say, "Nah, I'm done," unless you really are done. I don't think that it means that he is going to do it, but it definitely shows that he's not closed the book on Bond, perhaps. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's got a very much revitalised opinion of Bond, to be honest with you. And I think he's probably a bit flattered, to be honest. I know I would be. If I look like that guy at 70, sorry, is he 60 or 70? I just think I would probably cry in shame because I know I never would be, Chris.
No, I wish I looked like him at 70 now.
Oh, wow.
I still think that would be an improvement for me. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I really hope he does. I mean, I guess it all depends on what the Amazon route is and what they want to do, whether they want to go down some sort of Elseworlds route. But if they do, I'm here for it.
I'm getting more and more excited the more I think about where things could go, honestly. So I think I've been watching some other guys' podcasts, the Ready 007 team, Bond Theory. I just think there's so much buzz in the air. And that's what I love about Bond community. There's no rivalry. Everybody's in it together, and that's what I think is really quite unique compared to some alternatives, So, first bit of news was Mr. Brosnan. Yeah. Second bit of news, we've got a new Bond book out. Would you believe it? Okay, but this isn't Bond. This is not 007. This is the adventures of Felix Leiter.
Really? Wow.
I actually quite like it. I love Felix, even though he's been, he's been regenerated more times than Doctor Who. In his incarnations, but I absolutely love the character of Felix. Chuffed to see him in the Daniel Craig movies really recently, but it's coming from an author called Raymond Benson, and he's wrote a book called The Hook and the Eye. Totally, I'll read it out to you. Focus on Felix Leiter, James Bond's trusted American friend and ally. This full-length novel will be released digitally in 10 installments, so it might even be an audiobook. Recalling a civilization of classic pulp fiction set in an early 20th century. So I actually think that's quite exciting because it's sort of, we spoke about spin-offs. That's quite a nice little touch.
I mean, I agree. I mean, they clearly think the character's got legs, so they haven't watched License to Kill. But in general, I was thinking about that for a few minutes. I was like, when's he going to let me say my one thing? No, I completely agree. I love Felix Leiter as a character, and I do think that if you're gonna look at somebody other than James Bond in that universe, you want someone else that's going to add a little bit of excitement and danger and espionage to it. And Felix Leiter is kind of the, he was always pitched as the American version of James Bond. He was that equivalent for the CIA. So yeah,
in some ways, Felix was better than Bond with the sort of professionalism, but Bond nailed it with the suaveness and the slight rogueness, didn't he? That was the difference between him and Felix. But they were always, from the beginning of Dr. No, Casino Royale, whichever you want to look at it, they are the best of mates, and I love that. I actually love that relationship. So bring it on, Raymond. I want to see that. I want to read that book or listen to it.
I can't wait. Yeah, it sounds incredible.
And shockingly enough, Chris, that is the length of the Bond news.
Excellent.
This time round.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us the Bond news, Mike. But let's get into what we're here for. We are here for the From Russia with Love review. So the second Bond movie from 1963, which sees James on his way to Russia. Is he walking into a trap? Isn't he? Does he care? Who knows? I just can't wait to watch him sit on a train. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. What are your sort of first initial thoughts of this movie?
Let's address it as if I'd never ever seen it before. I haven't. I've seen it 1,000 times, but when you look at it, right, you are right. I don't really think the title screams anything amazing. If I'm being honest, it sounds like quite a dull title. Okay, but my God, the film is not that. I've never come across. I don't think there's another movie actually out there that feels as dangerous as this film.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
Totally agree.
The tone of it. There's something in the air, the nostalgia about From Russia with Love, and it's in my top 10. I've read out of 25. It's in my top 10.
I completely agree.
We watched Dr. No, as we said a month or so ago, and there was mixed feelings because it's something that's quite unfinished. This wasn't unfinished in any way. I think they gave a lot of thought to create the character.
Yeah,
I think they looked at the locations really well. The cinematography was beautiful, and it started the real villain arc, I think, more than Dr. No did, if that makes sense. So for me, in a small summary, absolutely love this movie. Had a great time watching it 2 nights ago, honestly.
I mean, I can't argue with any of the comments that you just made. I completely agree that I think that this is a top tier Bond movie, and I'm sure one day we will rank our Bond movies, and for both of us I'm sure it will be in the conversation, but I do think that it is one of the better Bond movies. I personally think it's Connery's best. But I think that the reason that it is so good is because, as you said before, Connery gets to develop the character. There are so many points in this movie where we have a sort of still static camera, and it is just Connery interacting with other characters, and he gets to grow, and you really see him feeling out who Bond is in this movie, and I really love that. Even though it does still feel like an experienced Bond. So no, I completely agree. I think it's an epic movie. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think I was trying to watch it as if it was for the first time, and as a lot of people point out, I do think there's maybe some pacing issues in the third act, but other than that, I think it's a fantastic film, and a perfect epitome of Bond and what Bond is.
Yeah, I agree. You said it's Connery's best. Some people say it's like Goldfinger because it's one of the first films you think of, isn't it?
Goldfinger's more iconic than this, I think. Would that be fair?
I would say it's more iconic because you've got the DB5 and classic villains and all that. Let's be honest, their villains in From Russia with Love are not quite as up there, but they're better. I think they're better. So I mean,
more realistic.
If we go into Connery, let's do Connery first, so we can compare him to Dr. No. Okay. We've actually swapped sides on the screen, by the way. I don't know how I've done that.
Oh, yeah, we have actually, haven't we?
That's a new technical issue. Dominic, what are you doing?
We're like Ant and Dec. We should always be on the same side.
It's wrong. It's wrong. We'll sort it out, though. We will work this out.
No idea how it happened. I'm not really bothered. It's all good,
honestly. Man. Go away, Dominic. Go sort it out now. Right. So, anyway, we haven't got a Dominic, by the way. It's just a nice little play. But Connery, I think, personally, he absolutely knocks it out the park for me on this one. I think he feels confident. He's certainly paid a lot more money because he's obviously playing it very, very well. And I think he's got the brutality. I mean, if you think about something we didn't get in Doctor No was a proper brutal brawl. That train scene. Come on. How can you argue that, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So, yeah, I think Connery, I think the beauty of it is he doesn't feel like a different character to Doctor No. It does feel as though he got the character right, but he gets to, you see more. You get to see those the little touches, the little colour that you don't get to see in Doctor No. I think there's a little bit more humour in this. There's a little bit more, not sort of winking at the camera, but there's just a tiny amount more, like, not quite as serious, softer edges to him. But I also think that, as you say, that brawl with an amazing Robert Shaw in this. I adore Robert Shaw as an actor, and this is one of his best ever roles. I really do think that scene with when they open the case with the tear gas is just so badass. I love it.
Yeah, I do know that's what I think I like as well, is when we focus on Bond compared to Doctor No, we discussed how there was, let's face it, there was virtually no gadgets in Doctor No, but we see the first real introduction, weren't we, in this movie of Q. We see Desmond Llewellyn for the first time.
We do see him for the first time. But I mean, I didn't realize this. I was just sort of on IMDb while I was watching it. And he's actually classed as Boothroyd in this, not Q. So he's actually technically playing the same character as the first film.
So is he reincarnated as well? Is he then? Is that
what we're
speculated on this one?
That's why he lasts so long.
Maybe Bond's just going, what's happened to the other guy? You know?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they tested it out on Q first, and that's when they then did it on Bond.
Maybe it's the codename theory, and Q's a code name.
I tell you what. Now we're talking. Amazon. If Amazon can get like an Elseworld thing where someone walks into a room and there's just loads of Bonds in like cryostasis or whatever, they're just pumping out Bond clones every 20 years. That's what I want to see.
That would be pretty cool, I think, to be honest. But we see Q, and it was the attache case, because you mentioned the tear gas that pops out. Yeah. That thing was quite literally a Swiss Army knife, wasn't it? It had the knife in the edge. It had the gold sovereigns.
Yes.
It had the gas bomb that can go off if it's not opened correctly with the right mechanism. Yep. And it also contained the sniper, didn't it? The one-bullet sniper.
Yeah, the fold-up sniper. Yeah.
And that, which I tell you now, that gun, right, to me, it's just an opinion of mine. To me, that is more iconic in its image than the PPK. It's just beautiful.
Wow,
it really is.
Yeah, I do love that gun.
If you think about it, I don't know if did he? No, he did use the PPK in the gypsy camp, didn't he?
Yeah,
if I remember rightly. But yeah, it's when he took out the helicopter with that gadget. That was just by shooting one guy holding a grenade and dropping it into the cab. Yeah, phenomenal.
It's fantastic. And this film really does go from 0 to 100 with regards to the gadgets, doesn't it? Because I remember in Doctor No, it's very much like, here's a gun, here's a wooden case for your gun. Whereas this one's like, right, gadget. But no, I love it, because I love that attaché case is so iconic as a Bond, like a collection of Bond gadgets. It's like a Swiss Army case, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Even the pre-title sequence has one of my all-time favorite gadgets in it, which is the watch with the garroting string that comes out of it.
Yeah, very Hitman.
Yeah, it really is very Hitman. And I guess we should talk a little bit about the fact that this Bond film has a pre-title sequence.
That's the thing. First ever one.
First one.
And if it be honest, I think we need to give it some kudos to. Obviously, it wasn't a major high octane action sequence. However, what it was suspenseful.
Yes,
it was cliffhanger. It had a beautiful setting. Especially in the dark when you just see what you believe to be Bond just walking over the bridge at the beginning, and you're thinking, "What's happened here? How's he got here? What's happened?" And what's the premise? And to see him getting hunted at the beginning, that's like, and you've got to treat it as if you've never seen the movie before, because it's like a revamp of your memory, isn't it?
It is, and you also kind of go, "Oh my God, has Bond just lost?" Because you've only watched one Bond film at this point. You don't know that he is the unbeatable hero that we all know he is now. And also, I just want to say that the mask that he wears, that pulls off him, I thought they looked pretty realistic when they pulled that mask off. I was like, Mission Impossible was doing that in 1996.
I can't. Yeah, I would echo that. There is actually a screenshot we've got in one of our montages that's got that. But I agree. The actual quality of the production, you'd swear that's Connery. He's molded into the mask, isn't he? Somewhat.
He is. He is.
We don't know who the poor guy that got strangled to death, who he actually was, and I don't think he's actually ever credited, to be honest. But he's either, for me, Chris, he's either a Spectre agent that's competing for the right to kill Bond, or he's another target that's been brought in and he's trying to trick the assassin. That's what I'm thinking. But
I think considering he killed him, you'd think that there's a little bit of, that he might be an enemy. And maybe they've said, if you can kill Grant, then you buy your freedom or whatever. I don't know. But it's interesting.
We've seen that before with Spectre, haven't we? If you think about Spectre, the movie, it was the guys in the meeting with Blofeld, and we meet Mr. Hinks, and they were out there for the right to decide who was going to kill Mr. White.
Yeah.
So it's not out of possibility within the law that that's what that pre-title sequence was.
Yeah,
what I don't understand was how nobody noticed the 1 million people on the balcony with the spotlights.
Yeah, I know, right? I think that I kind of feel like it was all set up and that it was like a training exercise.
But
no, I agree with you. I mean, it's great when they turn the light on and you kind of like, oh my God, what's going on? It's a really clever way of doing it, and it in general, like I'm sure we'll get onto other bits, but just the movie is just so beautifully shot. Like Terrence Young does such a good job with this film, and I'm so glad that he gets to come back and direct one more. After dropping out a Goldfinger, I really love his direction in this. It's beautiful. There's a couple of shots that he just lingers on that are amazing. There's one shot in particular that I was blown away by, which is when Grant knocks Bond out, and he's sort of roof going through his pockets, let's say, and it's a single shot taken from like behind Bond's head, just looking up at Grant, and it's just a long shot as he's rifling through all his pockets, and it doesn't move, and it's so good. It's just so well done.
So back to in line with the cinematography. So it's even like, where they're in the dining carriage on the train. I think, to be honest, a lot of this movie's cinematography for me is that train. But when they're in the dining car,
for cinematography as well. I think it's one of the only Bond films that won for like not sound mixing and something. I might be wrong. I'll have a look.
No, you might be accurate there actually. But I believe that when you look at that movie and then you think there's a lot of great locations. We mentioned the maze. We've got Istanbul.
Looks beautiful.
For me, Chris, by the way, because I believe in the Bond theory that Daniel Craig's before this, he also says to Moneypenny, doesn't he? You've never been to Istanbul? And he was clearly in Istanbul at the beginning of Skyfall. So, fan theory. But I believe from that perspective, he flirts with Moneypenny no end at the beginning, much more than he did in Doctor No, because she didn't have a lot to do in Doctor No, did she, Lois Maxwell?
It was actually like really intense, the flirting in this. I forgot how it's like they would have kissed had M not buzzed through, that kind of thing. It was like, wow, okay, he really went for it.
That comical timing. How did he nail it so well?
And also, I will say, it did win the BAFTA for best cinematography.
Well, I'm totally not surprised by it. But sorry, that was my point. Actually, within the dining car, I felt like that is probably the most beautiful scene ever. You just see the scenery moving across. But you can tell it's green screen, but it's not bad. It looks gorgeous. The horizon, the landscape, the moonlight. The fact that they're dining, they're eating fish and wine, and I just thought, I've probably fallen in love with this movie a million times over just with how it looks. So, I'm getting tearful, Chris. I don't know what's going on.
You are. Well, I think you must be thinking about all the times that you've ate fish and drunk red wine, and how you got found out by. Because I'll tell you what, I've drunk red wine with fish, and every time I do, I think, oh God, Quint's going to see right through me, or Bond's going to see right through me.
By the way, hi to Lorenzo. Just popped up on our chat. Hi, Lorenzo.
Hi, Lorenzo. How you doing?
What a classic James Bond movie from Russia with Love. Yeah. You, sir, are in the exactly right place to be to voice those opinions. So great to see you, Lorenzo. Villains. So we've done Bond, done gadgets.
I love
villains.
Let's talk about villains. A couple of iconic villains in this film, aren't there?
Oh yes. So I suppose you could way look at it is you've got the orchestrators, haven't you? So you've got people like Kleb, you've got the untitled version of Blofeld with the cat, which is the first time we see a cat.
Played by Professor Dent from Dr. No.
No, was it?
It was.
So he didn't die.
He didn't die. He just became Blofeld. Became number one.
He promoted himself from that gunshot in Dr. No. So yeah, but. The main one for me is Robert Shaw, as you just said earlier, the fantastic Robert Shaw. He was the original henchman, wasn't he?
He really was. That kind of stoic, not very vocal, like you just larger than life henchman. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the fact is as well, you can also make claim that he was the template for people like to come. There was people like Stamper in Tomorrow Never Dies. There was Necros in Living Daylights. All these blonde, henchman villains were inspired, in my eyes, and I believe they really were, by Robert Shaw. They were trying to recreate that magic.
Yeah, recapture that amazing performance.
Yeah, there was the other guy in For Your Eyes Only, wasn't there? The strong German that was fighting Roger Moore.
Yes, there was. Yeah, he was. I can't remember his name, but I put his photo up on one of our Facebook pages a couple of months ago when you were talking about the best blonde Bond bad guy.
But he is absolutely savage. You feel in every way he's probably better than 007. And I hate to say that. You feel like he's just out for the kill, isn't he? That's
physically, definitely, because that was the whole point of the beginning, wasn't it? To show what a specimen he is as like a physical presence. Bond has to outthink him.
Yeah, I think, it's also the fact that you do go, if he's go toe to toe, this might not go the way we think it's going to go.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And let's face it nearly didn't. Without the knife in the attaché case, it nearly didn't.
But this is why, and this it sets the scene for like Bond is. I don't want to undersell Bond, but like Bond needs his gadgets. Q is vital to Bond's success. And I'm sure Bond would do other things, but it's a way of saying that Bond and the gadgets need to go together for Bond to be successful, and I like that.
I love that theory, and I think that's what they noticed that people liked the attaché case, hence the extension of like the jetpack in Thunderball, the DB5 car to come, because obviously there's still there wasn't actually not proper car chase in this one. There was the way they ran away from the helicopter, in the truck, but I wouldn't call it a car chase per se.
No, I completely agree. I wouldn't either. And I was going to just say on the gadgets, like you can tell with the more recent Daniel Craig movies that they started to try and move away from that a little bit to course correct. But I really hope that they go back to a lot more gadgets. And to be fair, towards the end of Daniel Craig's reign, they did bring some gadgets back in, didn't they?
I think they planned to do things at the right pace. One thing I feel that's good about the Daniel Craig era, there was no rush, No. And they like bolting together arcs and sequels, which remarkably, so was From Russia with Love. It was the first, one of the only direct sequels in the series.
And Sylvia Trench being in the beginning of the movie as well.
She is. I'd like to think Sylvia has always been his how do I put it politely, interest outside of work in London. Even so. Time aside, actress aside, I like to think that's where Bond will always have a rendezvous when there's nothing going on.
She's always his new case. Whenever he's not working somewhere.
Yes, I mean, among many female interests he has, but I feel like that's something that Sylvia is, and it's great to see Ines Jansen back in. She equally iconic as she was in Doctor No, and she was, I love the bit where they're lying in the boat and they noticed the scar. Down his back.
Yes, yeah.
And he what was it? A gift from another jealous woman.
Yeah.
What did he say, Chris? What was his comeback?
Oh, I can't remember. Go on, tell me.
But I've never turned my back on one since. So
I love it.
I think she was brilliant, but obviously she wasn't our main Bond girl. Of course, she was a great Bond girl. But it was Daniela Bianchi, which is better known as Tatiana Romanova.
Yes.
Now, can I just point out, she wasn't in my Bond countdown. We did a Bond girl a month or so ago. But, God, she has to be one of the most naturally beautiful Bond girls there has ever been.
Yeah, she really does. She really is. And she has such a presence on screen. I think there's some elements to her character that for some reason just grated on me a little bit in this rewatch that hadn't before. There was so many times when she was just like, and I was like, oh, come on, girl, come on, snap out of it.
Who was the lady you mentioned that did a lot of voiceovers for Bond?
Oh, I can't remember, but I thought her voiceover was so obvious in this film.
I was wondering that. I was like, is it? I forgot her name, but
I can't remember her name now. But she did. But I know that she was dubbed in this film.
I was considering that. Was she actually doing her voice for real?
No, she was definitely dubbed.
But I think the fact is, though, like you said, you might not know your Bond girl, but obviously on a look basis, and I think actually her if you want to take the audio out of it, her physical acting, her presence,
her acting was brilliant.
Some of the clothing she wears, it's phenomenal. It really is, and I like how she is not passed off as a bimbo. There's no rescuing her, is there? There's nothing. No hostage situation. She's not caught by the villain or nothing. She just has to sit there nice and comfortably while Bond and Grant fight it out in the cabin. Why not?
Absolutely.
I think the interesting thing with her is how she used the first Bond girl to be used as a cover, Chris, as well. She's Mrs. Somerset.
She is Mrs. Somerset. Yeah, I did like that. I think there was some really good sort of staples and things like that. Stuff that we would see in future films that she brings out in this one. So I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, she's the only Bond girl. There's a couple of others because there's side characters, like there's the Gypsy Girls, but you can't really count them in my eyes as Bond girls. No. But their fight was incredible. Just to say, it was incredibly. I don't know if most men probably thought this is quite erotic, and I don't know why. Back in the 60s, maybe some people thought let's go and get some Jello, put it in the middle of a pool or something.
Speaking of erotic, because obviously that's all that is all that we watch Bond for. Did James have a threesome with those two gypsy girls?
Well,
I'm sorry if I've thrown you a little bit here.
No. I was going to say word on the
implications
street.
There, though, isn't it? It's not. I'm not making it up.
If they put If they put a sign outside Bond's tent, flashing neon lights going, Bond's having sex with 2 gypsy girls in here right now, I don't think it could be even more obvious than that.
Okay,
just
good.
by that one
Good,
scene.
'cause I was there like, it's definitely cut to him having sex with both of those girls right now.
I will say one thing: the one voice dub that did my head in this movie, this only one, was the gypsy leader, the dad. Hank you, Hank you.
Yes. Yes.
I like the character, don't get me wrong, but the voiceover was clearly off scene and it was out of tone.
It was brilliant. I love
Sorry, that still reminds me now. Hank you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please just go back to that one moment, chapter skip it.
The whole gypsy sequence is like a fever dream, I think. It's so bizarre that we're even there, you know, but we are. It's like they really needed a Roma traveler sequence in there. And I'm like, I'm loving this. I don't know why. That's the thing. When I was a kid, that's the scene that sticks in my mind for some reason from that movie. I never think of the train. I always think of 2 gypsy girls like fighting each other and moving around, and you know, and you're just like, what is happening right now? And they're all just sitting there like smoking, like, oh, we're watching these gypsy girls fight. This is great. Sorry,
I feel that was essentially that was the first action sequence, wasn't it, in that movie? And you're right. It's slightly chaotic. I think it's actually filmed really, really well because you got Bond just dipping around the camp, not really doing a hell of a lot of espionage, and just catching the right moment to kick the crap out of somebody briefly with like a karate chop, or he goes down on one knee and shoots the guy, doesn't he, with a pistol and all that with his PPK.
He does.
And I do love it, but the fact that was so chaotic, and we then are led into him going to assassinate. Oh God, what was his name? The Russian general. Krylenko.
Yeah.
So the fact that was treated very sensibly, I think. It was hiding in the dark, drawing the sniper out, you know, and even the introduction of like use my shoulder to rest the gun on.
Yeah, I loved that.
I thought that was a nice little touch. It brought the realism that, because Bond would have just gone boom, whereas it's like try this for size, and I'm like that's good.
I loved his little quip as well at the end. Didn't he say something about like she should have kept her mouth shut or something because Krylenko is escaping through a trapdoor in her mouth. And then later she says something like, "Oh, I worry that my mouth's too large," and I was like, I wondered if that had some sort of callback to you know, the mouth being, you know, I don't know.
It could be.
Anyway,
it's not out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, she was like, "Oh, my mouth's too big," and he's like, "No, it's a perfect size for me." You know,
gross.
And this is what I mean. There's some innuendos that you can't you have to overlook them because
it's not even an innuendo, is it?
You can't say it now. You can't, but that's the way it was. So just look over it.
It was hilarious. It was brilliant watching this movie. You know, when they say like sometimes they say like, "Oh, Bond's a product of his time and views are very different." If you could pick one movie to epitomize where, you know, how different it is, this is the film. It's just everyone slapping women to, you know, there was one moment where it just made me laugh out loud, was when I can't remember the name of the guy who from Turkey that he meets in Istanbul.
Oh, Kerem Bey.
Kerem. So when his wife, when the explosion goes off, he makes some comment like, "Oh, my wife is gone. She was hysterical," or something like that. And I was like, what a brilliant line, just to be like, my wife was hysterical, so she's gone now.
Did you find your technique too rough?
I just loved it.
That's what he was saying. Ultimately, weren't it? But so I think that's definitely for me. That's those sequences are very memorable. And Kerem, I think he reminds me a bit of a Rene Mathis, a very nice close ally, somebody that's not Felix. Do you know what I mean? For once,
isn't it such a shame we weren't, you know, we never got more films with him, because he'd have been a great ally.
I think particularly in the Connery era, it would have been good to see him pop up again. I mean, we just see it there on the screen there. His death was horrendous, really, wasn't it? It was actually really brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was.
You know, I think the fact it was off screen as well, it added probably a little bit more trauma because you're left to sort of associate it with, you know, your opinion of how he died and how it happened.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get to see what happened. You don't get to see. You don't think Grant did it then?
I mean, he was on the train, or was he on the train at the time? I can't recall.
I think I kind of just assumed he was always on the train.
I think you could leave it open to speculation. It could be, as it was dubbed, they killed each other in a tuffle. You know, one got shot, one got stabbed. But what I can't understand is how Kerim, the position he was lying in, had a knife in his back.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what troubled me, trying to understand it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was the knife in the back. Like he was in there and someone came through the door and got him. That's what made me wonder whether it was Grant that did it.
I think you could leave it open to speculation. I think the lack of not knowing is also more tantalizing.
Yeah, that's the fun, isn't it?
To the concern, really. So for me, yeah, that's somebody I would love to have seen again, Karen, but unfortunately we never will. Unless Amazon reboot it and bring some older characters back reimagined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree.
Nothing is off the table at the moment. I think that we can agree with that. You know, do you know one thing you also was particularly good about this movie, Chris? Well,
please tell me.
The very fact that it actually wasn't just the best movie, but if you remember, it spawned one of the best Bond games ever. Take a quick look at this. Oh my God. How much does that take you back?
Crazy, isn't it? I can't believe that film spawned 007 GoldenEye. That's unbelievable.
But, I mean, I think that was... The thing is, that game was totally what if again. It was off tangent to the rest of the movie, but it has some great sequences. But I think the fact that we just got a chance to see Connery again, and I believe it's a real disappointment that opening title sequence was never incorporated in a Connery movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I tell you one other thing I loved about that video as well was the completely copyrighted music that we sat through the entirety of John Barry's Bond theme. So that was amazing.
I'm hoping
we haven't let ourselves down yet.
Hoping the gunfire in a distortion.
Yeah, I'm sure totally that'll
YouTube,
cover it.
Please be kind to us. We're growing.
I love that game. I think it just shows how impressive this film was, that of all of the films that they chose to remake, they chose From Russia with Love,
which is, again, it's a dark choice because you would have gone for golfing if you're doing Connery as a game.
Exactly, but that's it.
It was incredibly well picked for you. I mean, sort of moving back into the movie, what I found is the fact that we didn't have a car chase, okay, but what was really interesting is it ended near enough. It ended on a boat chase, and that was really, really unique. No green screens, as far as I could see. Not much. Maybe a close up.
There was a lot on location.
Yeah, and that's so unheard of in the 60s, isn't it, for the movies? But it was so basic that it worked. You know, the Bond had no gadgets. He had no, crazy boat like he has in The World Is Not Enough, or nothing like Moonraker. He never has anything that he can use to fight them. It's just his wits, his skill, his manoeuvring. They're firing torpedoes and gunfire, and what's his idea? Use a flare to put the barrels of fuel in the water.
I love that bit. So good. It's so good. When she's like, "What are you doing with the barrels?" And he's like, "Watch this, bitch." And he's just like, "Bam!" Yeah.
Did he say that?
He slaps her again as well. After he's like, "You're hysterical. Sit down." And then he just shoots it.
Hand slap to the face.
Exactly. Open hand slap to the face. Yeah, exactly.
But then there's an interesting fact for you. So, the last little bit, we got past the boat chase, didn't we?
Yeah.
There was the last little bit where he kills Kleb in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Interesting thing for you, Chris. Do you know? The shoe that had the poison knife in the bottom. Do you know that they were used for real by the KGB?
Wow, that's impressive, isn't it?
That was not. I googled that earlier just to find out about the gadgets. They were historically accurate and real. So if anyone watches those movies and goes, "Oh, come on," no, it was real. It was grounded. It happened. Yeah. So impressive. That's the thing to take from that, really. But I think personally, if I had to rank from Russia with Love, let's do it on a 0 to 10 basis. 10 being the top, 0 being the less. For me personally, Chris, my ranking from Russia with Love, it's a good solid 8 out of 10.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to go higher.
Okay.
I think there's only 2 10s for me in Bond, and we will get to them. This isn't a 10, but I think it's a solid 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10. I really don't argue this movie.
I don't argue it because I think the ratings are so close. Had we been talking about Diamonds Are Forever, this would be a completely different conversation.
You are not a Diamonds Are Forever fan, are you?
Not a Diamonds fan. It's not my movie. It's far from my movie, and it's nothing to do with Connery at all. But we'll come to that because we'll be a little bit late this year. You'll be watching our Diamonds Are Forever review.
Can I just say one sort of final thing on the movie before we wrap up as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I felt the presence of Austin Powers in this movie quite a lot. I really do think that there's so much in this movie that inspired the Austin Powers villains, and we know that Austin Powers is based on James Bond anyway. But in this movie in particular, especially like Kleb. Is just, all I can do is see her screaming "alarm" all the time in this movie, and obviously the man stroking the faceless man stroking the cat being an archetypal villain, moving in everything. I mean,
do you think they knew how iconic that would be when they tried that?
I don't think that they knew that would be like a major part of Inspector Gadget, in the 80s, for one thing. It's mad how many times that got replicated. The numbers being used, the button presses under the desk. I'm pressing my finger under my desk for some reason, like anyone can see it. But, just like all those little touches, like pressing the button under the desk, the door's open, and how cruel he is, and killing other people that haven't wronged him to prove a point to the, it's that kind of thing where there's always that thing where like they're holding a gun at one person, and then just before they kill them, they kill the other guy. And you're always like, but that's all these little tropes that this film set up. I just adore those little bits. So
I think it was a real chance to see what Spectre was sort of about, wasn't it? In the greater scheme of things, I think. And that's something I would definitely. I'm definitely glad we see more of coming up in the Connery era, because it was sort of we knew it been really just been name dropped, hadn't it, in Doctor No? That's all we had. That he was a member of Spectre.
And speaking of name drops, this is one of only 2 name drops of Smersh in the entire Bond canon, isn't it? Smersh was a big part of the early novels before Spectre came into play. So for people that don't know, Smersh was far more political, more Russian than Spectre. Spectre were more of a generic villainous organization. But Kleb is a former Smersh commander and pretends to still be Smersh, obviously.
She's a defector, obviously. Yeah.
And I think I might be wrong. The only other movie that mentions Smersh, is it The Living Daylights, has a name drop of Smersh. I think I think it was that, or License to Kill, perhaps. But
I think you were right. No, Living Daylights. It might have been in M's office when they were discussing the General Koskov and all that.
Yes, that might be what I'm thinking of.
You might be right on that front. I don't think there's any wrong name drop in that at all, mate. Really,
but like, I mean, in the novels, Smersh does a lot of what Dr. No and the Sheaf and that. But I like that they just pick Spectre as the villainous organization for the movies, because it is less political and it is more, just villainous, and Spectre is iconic.
Or as it was in the game, Octopus. It's Octopus.
Octopus, yeah. I love the ring he's wearing as well. I want that ring. It's so good.
But that's what they're the little drops that come in. I think because even the ring stood in the other movies, in the Connery movies, and then got revisited in the Daniel Craig movies.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And that's why, whilst Bond doesn't find any real major continuity problems, really, let's be honest, those little seeds, they bleed through, don't they?
They do, yeah.
And I think, honestly, that in a position puts us in a great place, because next one, Goldfinger. Does it get more iconic? Iconic?
We didn't even talk about the song. Great Bond song. Great that they used an instrumental version of the song for it. But I love that. I love how the song integrates into the wider soundtrack, especially the sort of da 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 da. That I love all that throughout the movie.
It bleeds into it at the end.
It bleeds into it.
It's a very nice sort of violin tone that trims into into the Bond theme. I agree with you. But let's not forget the main singer, Matt Monro.
Matt Monro, absolutely.
From Russia with Love itself, brilliant one. But let's be honest, one of the shortest post-credit scenes we've ever had. It's like, I don't know, it's like 30, 40 seconds long.
Yeah, it's straight over, isn't it? It's really over quick. I can't believe it. I watched it all.
But no, I think that's one thing we can definitely draw to a close with that one, because we know with For Russia with Love, we've done the introduction to Bond now. We've done the sequel, if you like. We know a bit about the character, how he rolls. Then we get to see the development stage now. We get to see him a bit more gadgety, a bit more quippy, maybe a little bit more, what's the word, campy? Can I say that? Campy?
I think he's a little more. He's definitely, like I say, his hard edges are softened a little bit in this movie, and they needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll be doing that very shortly, as we will be kicking off with more gaming and all that. Is there anything you want to plug, Chris, actually, to our lovely million fans out there?
So I mean, I obviously plug the Facebook page. Go and like the Facebook page. But you're obviously here on YouTube. 90% of our viewers aren't subscribed, to please go on and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also I'll plug my Geek Figure Fan YouTube channel and Instagram page.
Wow, nice one, mate. Well, I will also echo that, because obviously subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook. You get all the Bond news, all the wonderful gifs and polls we've been running. One thing that's been particularly incredible, it's still running now. We've got close to 1,000 votes when we only started our channel in January, and we're here in April. And we've got nearly 1,000 votes on who is the best James Bond, probably the most diplomatic subject. All the Bond fans.
George Lazenby's winning, guys. So you need to go on there and vote, or else George Lazenby's going to win, and you don't want that. So go and vote.
And we are going back. We're doing all the way from 1954, Barry Nelson, all the way to Daniel Craig. We're not just doing the official run.
Barry Nelson and Barry from EastEnders is on the list. So
he is.
Every Barry.
He is. Barry Chuckle. He's on there as well.
Barry Chuckle's on there. Completely forgot the Barry Chuckle.
But it's in all seriousness,
your eyes only.
We are so proud that you guys are engaging with us. Honestly, it's what we set out to make this channel and this podcast for. Yeah, it was just a talk Bond, catch up with your mates. That's all this podcast is. Have a chat with us. Listen to us in the gym. Listen to us cooking your dinner. Whatever. That's what it's all about. And drop us a comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want to see coming up. So, yeah, thanks so much, and keep following us on our social media platforms. Over to you, Chris.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. Well, you did such a great job of wrapping up for me. So yeah, I think it's just been so much fun. I think you can clearly see that we both really enjoyed From Russia with Love. I can't wait to get stuck into Goldfinger next month. Do you expect him to talk?
No, but I don't expect him to die either.
I don't expect him to die either. Thanks so much for joining us today. You've been watching the Bondcast.
The ultimate Bondcast. And we are slick as hell. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.